its leadership in the House. And Honorable Junet Mohamed has taken over as the minority leader, a very competent leader and a very consistent leader in terms of what he stands for in the House and the things he has championed for in the House. Honorable Emilio Odhiambo, who has taken over as minority whip, also another very competent leader. And there you've seen a number of shake-ups in those competent leaders who have been able to take over the House. But more importantly, like any other institution, ODM has demonstrated that it's an organization that has got very serious respect to ranks. So that when anybody leaves for any other duty in the country, you can see that ODM has been able to put in place some competent individuals to lead the party. I mean, Honorable Gladys Wanga, who has taken over as chairperson of ODM, competent lady who has done amazing work both for this country and our own county of Homa Bay. Honorable Simba Arati, no question about his qualification, his commitment to fight. Even yesterday, before the president, when the president visited Kisii, I saw Honorable Arati clearly stating what the position of ODM is as a leader who is of impeccable character and incredible, virtue. And look at Honorable Abdiswamad, who has replaced Joe in the coast, and Honorable Osotsi, who has replaced Oparanya in the other side, meaning that the party is going on with building itself as a formidable institution of social justice that it has been since 2005. And that party, as I finish, is going to reinforce the idea of being able to have its members whipped correctly in Parliament, both National Assembly and Senate, to play their role. What we need right now is the realization of other parties that their members must realize that Kenyans want a parliament that is effective, and therefore they must be able to influence their political leaders in Parliament to play their oversight, legislation, and
Eddie,
representation role in Parliament. That's the key thing we need to discuss.
What you've stipulated just right now is basically what Kenyans, and I believe some of your partners, are talking about right here.
Yes.
When ODM is approached, yes, it's approached as a party, but the last Kenyans checked, you belonged to a coalition, which is Azimio coalition, that has other partners.
Yes.
Making reference to what one of your partners, that is one of your principals, Kalonzo Musyoka, said, is that ODM needs to make a stand so that we know in which position you are operating from, because even just judging by those appointments, the 4 CSs have come from ODM.
Yes.
The leadership that has basically taken over from these people is literally ODM.
Yes.
So it seems like you're operating from a bubble. Where is the consideration of your other affiliate members if you're talking about this issue of a broad-based government?
It is not to my on my place. For me to talk about the competency of other people in other parties. I'm going to answer you. Let me just answer you.
That has nothing to do with it. Because you are in a coalition and your members feel like you're hogging onto
this position. And that is exactly why I'm telling you.
And you're preaching to
and that is why that's exactly why I'm telling you that our coalition has not entered government. Because if it was the coalition that had entered government, number one, we have been very consistent that we will have had a document signed to speak to that effect with proper TORs of how we are going to engage with government because we're in government. But we are not. And that is why when some individuals who are extremely competent have been able to take role to get into government, and Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, who is my party leader, has been very consistent on this. The subsequent deputy party leaders have been consistent on this. We have been consistent on this, that these individuals have gone into government in their own right and own capacity as individuals who can be able to help this government perform. But as an institution of political organization called ODM, and as an institution of parliament, we are still intact as playing our roles as required by the Constitution. And I think that, Alan, it would be very unfair to look at ODM, that it has to be balkanized as an opposition organization, that is supposed to always play the opposition outside government, because if you look at the number of people who are employed right now in government, you will find that those people who are working for government today, my brother, they are from different political parties. There are a number of ODM members who are working at different ranks, some of them very high ranks. There are a number of Wiper leaders and Wiper followers that are members of those organizations.
But they're not elected leaders.
No, they're not elected, and so are these individuals.
They have
relinquished their elective roles. They have relinquished their official roles in the party, and they have just remained members, because the duty that they are going for in the national government is a duty to the country, but not something that should be able to stifle their rights, which is the right of all Kenyans of belonging to a political party. That's a right that everybody has, and we have even seen policemen who are members of different parties who have got different conviction that refuse the idea that they cannot be forced by government to do something that they don't believe in, but they are working for that government. So there are people in government today that are working for government from different political parties, and it is high time that we reinforce the idea of this majority versus minority in parliament, so that every parliamentarian can be able to do their role as a parliamentarian, so that AD Okech, who is today elected on an ODM ticket, can just be as effective in terms of holding the government of the day accountable the same way another MP or senator from a ruling party should play their role. I think that is the fundamental conversation. It's not a question of opposition, because there is no arrangement of opposition in Kenya today.
All right. Well, Raila Odinga, together with other leaders, was today in a funeral function, and he claimed that the former president reached out to him so that he could reach out to Ruto to basically quell the tension that was existent in the country. And when you look at that pronouncement, and judging by what has been initiated by ODM party, it begs the question that, is ODM as a party being sincere? Why do I say so? Do you want to tell Kenyans that for the tension to be quelled, it had to take certain ODM officials who were in opposition, in quotes, to join the government, and now that they've joined the government, and also you're asking for an extra 20 PSS slots, do you want to tell us you as a party joining the government is going to fix the issues that were being raised by Gen Zs? Is that what you're trying to communicate to the people, that now we are okay? I
listened to Baba's speech very clearly, and one thing that Baba said that was very clear is that he contextualized this issue on the basis of other fights that we have had. Alan, I have been on that street. Before the Gen Zs were on the streets, we were almost being killed at Kware. And if you look at Africa Uncensored and look at the kind of mandamano that we did last year, and it was on the basis of that mandamano that we did, that a number of things had gone through, including the NADCO conversations. And one of the fundamental questions that you must see, so that this issue of this idle talk of opposition must be able to stop in this country, and then we must be able to hold parliament accountable as a people and make the parliament works for us, is this idea of elections that are verifiable, elections that are free, and elections that once it has been pronounced, the election ends at the ballot. Meaning, it is so clear that there is a winner after an election is done. This has been a fundamental reason that has culminated to where we are today. We cannot forget our history because of recent or current. You see what I mean? Because the moment there is no free and verifiable election in this country, an election that doesn't end on the ballot, these fights are still going to continue in a way that is going to compel people not to be contented about a government of the day, because we are in a very competitive electoral process. The danger with this, which is why I believe in what Raila was talking about, how do you save the country? The danger in this is that what has happened is, once people have won an election in a way that is not clear to other communities, then the regions get balkanized in what even the kind of vice president or deputy president kept on talking about, shares in government. You feel like because now you are the one who has taken the seat of power, then your region has got more right to that power than other regions. And
that is what Kenya is
asking. So that balkanization.
So with you
that balkanization, that's what I'm answering.
Do you believe it's cured?
That's what I'm answering. We haven't joined the government, and I've been very clear on that. Unless you want to insist on it, that is how you want to understand it.
I mean that's how
saying
Kenyans
very
clearly,
and I'm trying to educate Kenyans that the individuals that have been able to go and join the cabinet, right? The four of them, to be very clear, is not all ODM members. ODM has got 8 million members that are registered, but the four individuals who have gone are experts in their own rights, and they are incredible leaders both within parliament and over a history of service, and they have chosen to go and be able to help this government find its way. But what I'm answering you...
Are we expecting 20 extra PS slots?
Let me first of all answer you on what you asked.
Just as you're going.
That might come or it might not come. I don't have a fact to that. I don't like to speak into anything that is rumored.
Yeah.
But what I'm telling you is that because of that unfair competition where election doesn't end in the ballot, regions start being balkanized as an opposition region where your member cannot be seen in the eye of the public to be able to go and work in government. Let me tell you how this is important, Alan, because you have to listen to this.
Yeah.
The budget making process then ends up eliminating some regions from a process of development. I want to give you a case, for example. The president has said always that he's trying to get young people jobs abroad, right? The other day you saw they were flagging off 167 teachers.
Yeah.
Do you know how much an economy like the Lake Victoria region can be able to even help the country deal with its debt measures? If you look at the budgeting process, the Lake Victoria region is always excluded because, number one, in the perception of some leaders in government, that region is not supposed to be invested in because it's an opposition region. When even that opposition is not in government. Let me just tell you this, quickly, just very quickly. Today, if you look at the market for fish in the country, we need 600,000 metric tons to be able to fill the gap of the market here. Do you know how much is being produced right now in the country? We only produce 200 metric tons. Of that 200 metric tons, about 80% of that is wild catch. People in Lake Baringo, in Lake Victoria, 90%, in Lake Naivasha are just catching it widely. But 20% of that is being grown by people who can be able to actually do what we call cage farming. Now, the remaining 80%, which is about 400 metric tons, is being supplied from China. That's where the fish we are eating in Kenya today. That alone is a 180 billion
And you believe
market.
This is because of that regional balkanization?
So there's no investment in this kind of region. You'll find that I want to give you an in Lake Victoria, the biggest cage farmer. I'm just finishing this. The biggest cage farmer in Lake Victoria is called Victory Farm. Victory Farm today annually only produces 10,000 metric tons. Right? And with that 10,000 metric tons, remember the gap is 400,000 metric tons. Victory Farm is able to employ 1,000 people directly and 7,000 people indirectly through their depots across the country. Rio Farm, that is the biggest aggregator in that region, is employing 700 people and is only doing about 300 metric tons. That means that if there was somebody who was to pump money into Lake Victoria today, without bias that region is a region for opposition, then you will be able to employ thousands of young people and not send them abroad. And I can take you through this even in mining sector. I'm an expert in this. I can take you through. I can take you through this in cooperative sector. They don't happen because the budget making process has got a notion of opposition vis-a-vis the people in government, which we don't have in the Constitution.
We're out of time, but in just under 30 seconds, I want you to just basically create some sense in this. I mean, we saw NARC Kenya exit, or issue a notice to exit as Azimio. DAP Kenya has also hinted towards exiting the coalition, and he says there's a lot of confusion in that party. You don't have a direction. Is Azimio still intact?
Azimio still intact, and anybody who wants to abdicate duty, you cannot otherwise force them, because the truth is this. The individuals who have been able to go into government, those individuals consistently have said this, that the individuals who have gone in their own rights as Kenyans, but our party ODM is intact, and the confidence that we can tell you with that is the fact that we have just change the leadership in parliament and change the leadership in party with competent people that can actually demonstrate to you how strong the party is going forward. And those people who have been endorsed to be party leaders in different positions are people of incredible character and amazing talent with time and treasure to be able to serve the party, and they're going to serve the party properly. There should not be any worry. But my parting shot is this, Alan. The Kenyans must be able to force Parliament to do its role of oversighting the executive, regardless of which party you come from, whether in opposition, or in what is perceived as opposition, or what is perceived as in government. We don't have that. We just have a minority and a majority under Article 108 of the Constitution that then must force these parliamentarians to work for Kenyans against the executive.
Well said, Eddie. Well said. I think we'll leave it at that for tonight. Right there, Eddie has clearly answer those questions to the best of his capability. Of course, just reiterating that his party is ODM, they're not in government, they're just there to actually help Kenyans and get what needs to be done to be done. At this point, we want to take a short break and get back with some sports.
75 days since the last day of last season. We are ready to do it all again.